those people, for that American nation that we all love, is to re-elect Donald J. Trump, President of the United States.
There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices.
Welcome back to America Decides, the election night programme brought to you by the journalists and students here at the University of Northampton and the students of the University of Richmond in the USA. I'm Fran Roche.
And I'm Tom Harrington. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are battling for the keys to the White House. Stay with us as we take you through the night.
Polls have just closed in the first group of states. Of those, none are more important than Georgia, one of this election's major swing states.
Back in 2016, Donald Trump won Georgia when it slipped through his fingers last time, swinging to the Democrat Joe Biden. Trump claimed the results were rigged, an allegation that had no foundation.
His new rival, Kamala Harris, has campaigned hard in Georgia. She held a star-studded rally in Clarkston with guests like Bruce Springsteen, Spike Lee and former President Barack Obama.
It's already been chaotic in the state, as earlier today a fake bomb threat traced back to Russia was issued at one of those voting areas.
But it's not all about Georgia. Republican strongholds Indiana, Kentucky and South Carolina. So too have traditionally Democratic favouring Virginia and Vermont. Want to hear a piece of trivia about this election? Donald Trump is just one of 5 people ever to contest the American presidency 3 times. But who actually is Donald Trump? Entering the election as the oldest candidate ever, should Trump win, he'll be 82 by the end of his term. No president has ever been older. Tyler Peterson has been finding out all about this political disruptor.
Donald J. Trump is one of the most controversial figures ever to run for the US presidency.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
This time, he's fighting for his second term. But where did he start? Donald John Trump was born on the 14th of June 1946 in New York City. Born to a powerful real estate tycoon, Fred Trump, Trump would become the heir to his father's business. Trump then broke into TV and became a popular celebrity.
Who will be the apprentice? You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
His political ambitions were evident since the 1980s, yet at first, few took this businessman turned TV star seriously.
I think the next president of the United States could have some very, very, very serious problems. It's going to be, I think, a very difficult presidency because of the problems that we're talking about right now.
And you don't want it to be Donald Trump?
I do not want it to be Donald Trump, but I do want the problems to be solved, Larry.
That all changed when he stormed through the 2016 primaries to become the Republican nominee for president.
Legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have as president.
He proved an effective, if controversial, campaigner.
Nasty guy. Now I know why he doesn't have one endorsement from any of his colleagues.
Who made the most of simple slogans.
And we will make America great again.
In a close-fought contest, he beat Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton to win the presidency.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
He proved to be an unpredictable president. He also pulled the USA out of key climate and trade agreements while developing close ties with autocratic leaders like Vladimir Putin of Russia and Kim Jong-un of North Korea. He never accepted, however, his subsequent defeat in the presidential election of 2020. Now, Donald Trump is back for more, determined to regain the White House. It's been a turbulent campaign. He's been convicted of multiple felonies. He's been the target of an assassination attempt. But his key message, "Make America Great Again," continues to resonate, particularly states inland and among non-college educated men.
That's all she talked about because she and Joe have absolutely no achievements. They only have failure and gloom and death. And death. Look at the death they've caused in Afghanistan. Look at that. Look at the death they've caused.
And if he wins this time around, he will become the oldest man ever to become president, beating Joe Biden's record by 6 months.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here.
Now, we've talked about the economy and we've talked about immigration, but for some voters, LGBTQ+ rights really matter. Donald Trump has made transphobic remarks during the campaign concerning trans voters. Kayla Wilkins is from California.
Senate and House of Representatives. Sorry for the technical error. Now, tonight is not just about the presidency. Elections are being held tonight for both the Senate and House of Representatives, not to mention local state elections. Here to tell us more is Gareth Rue from the University of Richmond. Senate and House races, and why are some seats already allocated?
So the Senate and the House are a part of what we call the United States Congress, which runs once every 2 years. The House of Representatives has about 435 representatives, one from each congressional district. The members of the House served a fixed term of 2 years, with each seat up for election before the start of next Congress. So that's what we're seeing with the House. With the Senate, on the other hand, we have 100 senators.
Since wartime.
Years, we've actually seen the Republicans gain control of the House in 2022, winning in a 222 to 213 vote. And back in 2020, we actually seen the House held by the Democrats. But the Senate, on the other hand, we've actually seen how the Democrats regained and maintained control of the Senate in both 2022 and 2020. With this election, the three races I'm looking at specifically are Virginia's 7th Congressional District, Pennsylvania's 10th Congressional District, and New York's 17th Congressional District.
Races matter in policymaking.
So in the end of the day, a policy is passed through bills which are created in either the Senate or the House. And after going through multiple levels of editing through committee reviews, a bill has to pass through a first chamber before moving on to another chamber. And this goes back and forth until both the House and the Senate decides and agrees on a bill before it goes to the president, who either signs it into law or vetoes it. So in the end of the day, it is important because we have the House and the Senate who are there to create these laws and policies that will be then passed on to the president.
Thanks, Gareth. You're watching America Decides, brought to you by the University of Northampton in partnership with the University of Richmond. But enough about the states. What does the American presidential election mean for us Brits? Does the so-called special relationship actually exist? And do we even care? We sent our extremely British reporter, Andy Durrant, to find out more.
The North African Conference is the 4th occasion on which the two great men have met since the beginning of the war.
Since wartime Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill first coined the phrase the special relationship to describe the transatlantic alliance between Great Britain and the United States, US presidents and British Prime Ministers have always been close. From Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher in the 1980s, to Tony Blair standing shoulder to shoulder with George W. Bush in the wake of 9/11, to Donald Trump and Theresa May in more recent times, there's been an unbreakable bond between the two countries. But with the race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump being too close to call, what might the future hold for the relationship between the two countries? Kim Ribbons is originally from Northampton, but has lived in the US for over 30 years.
So between those two and the relationship between the UK and the US, I think Trump comes with a lot of baggage. In that particular context, I don't think, I know he's not particularly very popular in terms of what he did when he was president in the UK. I think that, the Democratic Party and the Labour Party, Keir Starmer and the current Labour government will probably find it easier to find some common ground with Harris if she's elected. In terms of, how that might work for those things that concern both of our countries, which is, NATO and international relationships and war in Central Europe and war in the Middle East. I'm not sure that either government is totally aligned in the US if it was a Democratic presidency.
But what do the people of Northampton think? Do they even care?
Personally, I just think it's two wings of the same bird. It doesn't matter who you vote for, nothing ever changes. Probably Kamala Harris, because Trump is a bit of a clown.
President Trump, being an isolationist, he just takes a very narrow view on things, and he does some terrible things, like making a decision to build the American embassy in international land, as agreed in many years ago. in Israel, it was not the right thing to do. You know, and I think he also might do some very bad things for NATO as well.
Probably better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And Trump's done it before. I didn't think he did a bad job, so let him have another go. I think we should care because they're our nearest ally. And yeah, I think that's why we should care, really.
So people in Northampton do care about the US election. One thing that isn't in doubt, the ramifications of the result will reverberate around the globe for years to come. Andy Dorrance, UON News.
Let's take a deeper look. Earlier, Sophie Smith reported on the economic issues for Americans in this election. I'm delighted to say that Sophie now joins us in the studio to tell us about the impact of the election on the British economy. So Sophie, how important do you feel America is to the British economy?
So it's definitely very important, especially since Brexit. The UK's had to really build up their trade with the US, especially because the US is our largest trading partner. So the UK currently takes in over £200 billion in trade from the US, which is a huge amount. It's also good for investment because the UK is the top location in Europe for American companies to base their regional headquarters. And this provides over 2.6 million jobs for British people, which therefore lowers our unemployment rates.
So Donald Trump said that he would put tariffs on trade if he wins the election. What impact would this have on the UK's economy?
I think this could be very problematic because tariffs will make everything more expensive and therefore more difficult for the UK to sell their goods in the US. And this could have a huge knock-on effect on the UK economy. Our new Labour government is desperate to build up our UK economy, but this could be very difficult for us if the UK companies are struggling to sell their goods over in America. It could mean less profits and less jobs for British companies as well.
So would it be better if Kamala Harris wins, or should we expect more of the same from a Biden presidency?
So good question. So Britain has been battling for quite a while to get a detailed trade plan with the US, but this still has not happened. So I think the bottom line is any American government that gets in that doesn't impose tariffs will have a better effect on not only the UK companies, but the UK economy as a whole.
Thank you, Sophie. And just for some breaking news, Donald Trump is claiming that there is cheating in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania polls. However, local authorities have said that there is no evidence of this. And just to recap, the first few states have finished voting, including the crucial swing state of Georgia.
But plenty of people across the country are still voting. Reports have said that lines in battleground state Pennsylvania are as long as 7 hours. Remember, even after polls close officially, those already in line will still be allowed to vote.
That's all for now. Follow our election coverage on X at journalism_UON.
Join our colleagues Janique and Dante for the next update at 1 a.m.